Have you ever been in a Facebook group or maybe you're emailing your formatter and they start talking about things that you've never heard of, like trim size, bleed, widows? If you're very confused, you're not alone. Hi, my name is Jennifer Gregson. I'm a young adult indie author and professional formatter who is here to help you through the self-publishing process. Every industry seems to have their own lingo, and a lot of writers, right, we learn the lingo as we go for writing, but there's a whole separate set of lingo for when you format your book. So if you're doing it yourself or if you're hiring a formatter, it's good to know certain words for when you start working with your formatting software or the formatting person that you hire. So today I just want to walk you through sort of like Lingo 101, right? So the first thing to know is trim size. Trim size is the size of your print book. So there's 5 by 8, that's 5 by 8 inches. There's 5.5 by 8.5 inches. There's 6 by 9 inches. And there are different reasons for choosing different trim sizes, and I have a whole video about that, so check the cards for that video. I go into depth about how to choose your trim size if you're making a paperback or a hardcover, but that is what they mean when they ask you what your trim size is. And it's one of the first decisions you need to make before you start formatting your book, especially if you're doing the formatting for the print version. The next thing you might hear is bleed, and that is how the image appears on the page. So you don't want it to bleed into the margins. You don't want it to bleed off the page. The bleed is sort of that space around the images. So you can choose to have bleed or not. And each formatting software kind of handles that differently, but that's what they mean by bleed. Margins you probably know, but just in case, the margins are sort of the spacing in between, like when you open a book, right? There's that little space in between so that you can read. It's the margin. So the big thing when you're formatting is that inner margin, because you don't want your words to go into the crease of the book. And then we have front matter and back matter. Again, I did videos all on these, but front matter is anything that comes in the front of the book before chapter 1 starts. So things like your copyright page, your dedication page. The back matter is everything that comes at the end of the book after the end. This is things like about the author, acknowledgments. You can give sneak peeks for your next book. Then there are headers, which is a pretty standard word, but some formatting software or formatters call them running heads, and so that gets a little confusing. But it's basically like your chapter headings, chapter 1, the name, right? It can be the subheadings. So especially if you're writing a nonfiction book, you might have chapter headings and subheadings for your different sort of topics. Those are called running heads. The next one is widows and orphans. And no, this does not have anything to do with Victorian times or an orphanage or death. When you're formatting your book, right, especially for print, and your paragraph ends, but there's one word left and it's at the very top of the next page, that's called a widow or an orphan. And we try to eliminate that by either breaking it up. There's certain things that you can do in the formatting softwares, but you don't want just that one little word hanging out on its own. That's called a widow or an orphan. Then there's something called embedded fonts. So if you're using a formatting software, they probably have fonts within their system, but if you want a specific font and you're asking your formatter for that, they might ask, is this an embeddable font? Google will tell you if you download a font. If you buy a font off the internet, it should be able to tell you. Most of them are able to be uploaded into formatting softwares, and they're able to be used for headings and things like that. But most formatting softwares come with quite a few options, so you don't really have to worry about buying fonts if you find one that you like. And I have found that sometimes headings in the formatting software can be purchased or are already in places like Canva. So if you want to coordinate, you totally can. And then the final thing I'd like to talk about today are the file formats. So you have EPUB, PDF, Mobi, and Mobi is being phased out. So Mobi used to be the Amazon exclusive file format that you needed, and that is being phased out. So most stores now just use EPUB for your ebook file. And then your PDF is what you're going to need for your print version, either your paperback or your hardcover. And if your formatter, like if you've hired someone and they use a word you don't understand, please feel free to ask them. There are no stupid questions. And most of us use words without even thinking. Like, we just assume everyone knows them, and that's not true. And you're totally allowed to go, hold up, what are you asking? And we'll answer. Like, it's totally cool. Or Google it. You know, you'll probably be able to figure it out, but seriously, you can ask us. We'll answer. Like, if you've come up with a word that I haven't listed here, drop it in the comments below and I'll tell you. If you are getting ready to start the formatting process, save this video and watch it again. And if you get totally confused, I also have a freebie. It's a formatting checklist so that you can go through all the steps. It is in the description box below. It is a freebie, so you can check that out. If you have any questions, let me know below and I will either answer you directly or make a video answering you. If you like this video, please hit subscribe. I make videos every Friday. Most of them are about formatting right now, but I'm also going to be talking about the launching process. I will be talking about self-publishing in general, and exciting, hopefully at the very beginning of the next year, I will be walking you through the process I will be doing with my book, formatting and publishing and launching and all the things, and I'm going to basically take you through step by step how I handle that for myself. That's kind of exciting. So let me know if there's anything else that you need to know. Happy writing!